Hello, I am live. There's a bit left of chapter 14, Formal Call, it's entitled. This is Joan Marshall Grant's book entitled Vague Vacation, and it is about her trip through France with Charles in 1946, where they escaped the English rationing and went to France and drove through France, and this is a description of their journey. This was here about Joan wanting to try to get entry into a castle, but nobody let them in, and Charles was most annoyed about her surprising him with this impromptu wish, and he was annoyed because he wasn't dressed for the occasion. We took a side road leading to Verzy. The vintage was evidently in full swing. Carts, both ox-drawn and horse-drawn, were frequent, and there were parties of grape pickers only just visible among the upstanding green. Here the vines were mostly dressed high, and an army could have hidden in one of the larger vineyards, but there was no indication of sellers. "These carts," remarked Charles, "are full. Therefore, they must be going to the presses. Therefore, we are on the right road." He accelerated. A mile further on, we entered a village. "Here," said Charles, "it's certainly the press for the whole region. We have passed so many carts on the way that it can be nothing else. Therefore, without doubt, there will be a large and well-filled cellar, and men to look after them who are not mean by nature." We slowed past through both the village streets, but not the sight, nor the smell, nor any other sign of the pressing or of sellers did we see. "It must be further on," said Charles, "though it is strange where all those full carts are going, if not here." "Perhaps Petrol is annoyed that you hadn't the nerve to do your duty by the chateau," I said unkindly. After he had shown it to us in the distance, he took us right there and laid everything on, even a maid all starched with welcome. "Then you go and run out and are quite rude enough too. They must have thought you are a queer example of the race to call in shirt sleeves and run like a man who has brought a parcel from a shop and has to make a quick getaway before they discover it is full of bad fish." He did not reply, but the car went too fast to my thinking for the road we were on. We were climbing still, and soon the sunlit slopes of vineyards gave place to woodland. We might have been somewhere in Wales on a day of real summer. There was bracken, light between the trees, and filled the hollows down the vistas where they had been felling trees. But Charles ignored the view and did not speak, except to complain that the car was missing on one cylinder. "You have delivered us to Pierre Nord," I said unfeelingly, "and we will take the consequences unless you become human." He laughed, then patted my head and took a cigarette. But the chain of events was already moving over inexorably wheels. Soon the car was missing on a second cylinder. Only with difficulty could she be coaxed up some of the steeper slopes, and the surface was very rough. Yet in spite of spasmodic quarrels, which flashed every time I insisted that the track would eventually take us to Cluny and the main road, which it did, while Charles gloomily maintained that the increasingly steep gradients would ruin the crippled car, which they did not. The journey through the vineyard I don't know when that went out. In silence, except for the increasing distress of the engine, we reached Macon, where a large and efficient garage, well versed in the needs of Citroëns, promised to return the car to health within 2 hours. In an estaminet in the same square, we found that Pat Vert had returned to us, for the patron was from Wexford and revived Charles with memories of their hometown. Her husband, whom she had taught to speak with a strong brogue, began to recount to me the drama of being married to a woman of such mercurial and explosive temperament. I used to think that we French were emotional, but he waved his arms expressively. Now there is no room for my scenes. It was obvious that he adored her, and was recounting her virtues as though she was an exceptionally spirited horse. She patted him affectionately. Sure, you need not be wasting your breath telling her all that. Poor soul, isn't she married to Irish blood herself? So that was the end of this chapter 14. The chapter 15 is Silly Symptom, but I shall not read it now because it's getting a little bit gloomy, dark. Today is the 20th of December. Oops! Today is the 20th of December and it's pouring out there and it's windy.